5, 4, 3, 2. All right, and welcome back to. I think we're having a connection difficulty here. We're connected. Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
Make me Terrible Troy.
I'm Treacherous, Trista.
And this is Behind the Monsters Month, and we're very happy to have Kurt Carley here of Godzilla, the Underworld, all kinds of cool things we're going to talk about. Thank you for joining
everybody.
us.
Welcome.
I'm wearing my Godzilla shirt because, Godzilla's iconic, and you're one of the few people that have played Godzilla, probably one of the last people to play Godzilla in a suit.
That is maybe true. Probably one of the last Americans, certainly, to do it. But yeah,
That's true.
I never thought of it that way. But yeah, you may be right.
Yeah. So were you a Godzilla fan, prior to taking the role?
Yeah, I've told this short story before. When I was in 5th grade, I went to see a matinee of Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And as I was watching Godzilla do his stuff, I sat there in the theater and I said, I'm going to do that one day. And 25 years later, I was in a Godzilla suit on a 1/25th scale set. I was like, oh yeah, that happened. Here I am. Yeah. So yeah, I liked Godzilla when I was a kid. On Saturday afternoon movies, they would come on, and a good Godzilla movie would be on. Yeah, I'd be there, absolutely.
I noticed that's your first credited movie. So, how did that come about? The 25 years later, they're in Godzilla.
Well, how much time do you have? I don't want to. I give you the Reader's Digest version or the longer version.
I'm good with the long one. I think we like the long version.
Okay. Well, in 1986, 10 years or so before I ever knew about this Godzilla movie I was in New York doing Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, nice.
I was in the off-Broadway production, and I was an understudy to be...
That's the first musical I ever saw in the theater, actually, is Little Shop of Horrors. Oh, really? Yeah.
So I was the understudy for the plant, and I was there for a couple of months, and they would bring me back every once in a while to be an understudy, because I was not the full-time understudy. I was like the guy they called when they needed someone. And so I started doing puppets and things like that in New York a little bit, full-size puppets. And now skip forward to 1996, and I got a phone call completely out of the blue saying that the producers of Independence Day were looking for someone to play Godzilla for their new movie. And so it took a lot of cajoling on my part to get them to even think about me, because they only wanted people from Los Angeles initially, or from the West Coast. So I told them, look, if the producers want to meet me, I will fly out there on my own dime, and I will meet them. So eventually they said yes, and so I flew out a couple days later, and I thought I was only going to be in Los Angeles for like 3 or 4 days. I was here for like 2 or 3 weeks auditioning and meeting, and so that's the long version about how I got the job as Godzilla.
Yeah. So that was your first movie then that you worked on?
That was the first movie I was ever in as a creature. I'd done a small acting part in a movie called Dominic and Eugene back in 1987, which I was cut out of. But that movie had Tom Hulce and Ray Liotta and Jamie Lee Curtis. But I was cut out of that film. And so, yeah, that was kind of like the first movie I was ever in. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Did you ever get to play Audrey too, the plant?
Yeah, I did. I got to go on in the show in New York very few times, but I did get to do the show in New York. And then I did the show a lot in the next 10 years in summer theaters around the country, like for civic light operas in big cities or smaller cities in the Midwest. Yeah, I would do maybe a production every summer, 1 or 2 productions every summer for about 8 to 10 years.
Oh, wow. Nice. Did you, were you the voice? Did you sing?
No, I was the guy in the plant, lip syncing to the person doing the voice of the plant who was off stage. You're working too hard inside that plant to make it sound good. You're breathing too hard, and it's too much work. Yeah.
And when you say lip sync, is it actual lip sync, or are you moving the lips of the plant?
I'm moving the lips of the plant with my arms, and coordinating my body movement with the guy who does the voice. And of course, we rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. And it's a little tough for the guy doing the voice of the plant because they've got to do the same performance every time.
Oh yeah,
so
yes,
I can be prepared. So it's seamless. And I was very lucky. I always worked with people who were on top of it, and like they never changed their performance, which made my job a lot easier. Made me look really good.
Yeah. When I
I'm
went
just
to
a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm bad.
Right. And yeah, and that wasn't even in. That was written for the movie. That wasn't in the play.
Wasn't? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was written for the movie. Yeah.
And the play is a darker ending.
Much darker. Much darker. Yeah.
The one I went to see had Dom DeLuise as the shop owner.
Oh, in Long Beach.
Yeah, in Long Beach. Yep.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that.
Oh, really?
I was supposed to do that production. I was in. I knew they were going to do it, and I contacted the producers, and they weren't at the point where they needed to hire a plant. So I was actually up in San Jose. This would have been 1992, I think it is. I was up in San Jose doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the producers of the Long Beach production came up to see our show, and they said, "Hey, we'd love to have you do, the plant for our show with Dom DeLuise." And I said, "I'm already going to do one in Massachusetts and Michigan this summer, so sorry." But yeah, I would have loved to have done that one. I tried to get in it, but
yeah. Well, interestingly enough, you said you were doing one in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I live in Massachusetts, but I was out visiting my aunt. So
okay. Yeah, we
crossed the borders there.
Right, we were in Danvers, in the greater Danvers, Beverly area up there. So okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were up in Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's all around here. It's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you said that. So when you were doing Godzilla, it was with the miniatures.
It was with miniatures. It was motion capture, and then also the Baby Godzilla. I played one of 7 guys playing Baby Godzillas. Of course, on set.
Well, what's the difference between that playing like on set with other people where you'd be like, I guess, the same size as opposed to playing the big Godzilla with the miniatures?
Right. Well, with the big Godzilla, you got to remember he's let's say 200 feet tall, and so you got to incorporate that knowledge into your movement. Godzilla's very fast, and he can do things quickly. But when you're on those miniature sets, you kind of got to adjust your rheostat or whatever to your surroundings, because also you got to deal with the frame rate of the camera, because a lot of stuff was shot in slow motion. And so we would shoot something, and we shot this one scene where I had to break up through the street, and I think we were shooting about 240 frames a second, and they said action, and I didn't come up through the street fast enough. Of course, we don't learn this really till the next day we see dailies. And so they said, "Okay, Kurt, next time you just got to blast through that street." So when they said action, I went right through the street. They looked at the dailies and the next day, and they said, "Okay, way too fast. Okay, can you put it, get it right between, those 2 takes." So, so with the Baby Godzillas, you have other people, you have the actors to react to, Matthew Broderick and Hank Azaria and Jean Reno. But when you're on set with those miniatures, it's just you. And I don't know, it just, that's a great question. I've never really thought of it like that, but we just adjusted the performance to make it look right.
Yeah. Trista, do you have a question?
I do. I was just thinking how fun it would be to play Baby Godzilla, by the way.
Yes.
But I know that you worked on Star Trek New Voyages Phase 2, and I'm wondering if you're a real life Trekkie.
Yes. I enjoy all things that are Star Trek related. I grew up with the original series. My nerd power is strongest with the original series. I know way too much stuff about the original series and how it was made. Um, but like I said, I appreciate Star Trek in all its forms, but it's such a big thing now. There's so many different, there's movies and there's all the different series and then all, fan films and things like that. It's enough. It's hard enough for me to keep all this stuff I know about the original series in my head, let alone, Next Gen and Deep Space Nine and Enterprise and all that stuff. Are you a Star Trek fan?
No, I was hoping that would not be your follow-up question.
Oh.
Not at all, no.
Okay. Well, what are you a fan of?
Kitty cats and horror movies.
Okay. I like cats. I like horror movies. Okay.
Okay, cool. We can continue then.
Right. We reach. Okay.
The interview's not over. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, collect. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's gotta be pretty cool though, because you grew up, you watched Godzilla as a kid, and you're a big Star Trek fan, and then got to be Godzilla at some point, and in a Star Trek series.
Well, yeah, I was in the fan film, Star Trek fan film. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people say fan films, but some of the fan films now cost, not comparatively to the actual series and movies, but they're still pretty high production, some of the fan films today.
I'll tell you what, those sets they built on that Star Trek fan film I was in, they were incredible. I thought they were absolutely incredible. They looked just like the real thing on the series. So, my hat's off to those people.
You mentioned there was motion capture in Godzilla. So that was kind of before like it really took off, the CGI and stuff.
Probably.
How has that affected your career, the rise of CGI and technology?
Well, I'll tell you what. Several years after I'd done Godzilla, I was in a movie theater and a trailer for, I think, the first Transformers movie came on. And there was a scene where a Transformer robot, I believe, came out of a swimming pool in broad daylight, and with the sun shining off it and the water dripping off it. And I said, that looks pretty good. And I said, that's not good for me. That's bad. Yeah. Because they can do that in the computer. They don't need me anymore to do motion capture. Because, when the Godzilla I was in, everything was at night, behind smoke or fog, in the rain, to try to, cover up the CG. I'm not saying the people who did the CG were bad, but that's the way the movie is. Everything's
that's even in old horror movies from the 70s and stuff. They usually would hide, not necessarily hide, but put stuff in the shadows and fog.
Yeah. But I think it's affected. I think I'm working less because of CG computer stuff, and so be it. That's the way things go. If I was a producer and it was cheaper to hire someone to animate it rather than hire a performer or something, or build a model or something, I'd do it. I understand.
Has some of the it seems to me that some of the practical effects have come back in the last few years.
Yes, that for forced perspective and things like that, model building, traditional stuff. I know on like in the Underworld movies, like the first two Underworld movies were directed by Len Weissman. And Len, I always got the impression Len liked having a guy in a suit to be a werewolf rather than having a CG werewolf if he could. And of course, selfishly, I agree.
I agree too. I also like the bipedal werewolf as opposed to a four-legged werewolf.
Right.
Now, did you work on the technical sides of any of these movies?
Can you be a little more specific? You mean like, did I work as a model maker or?
Yeah, because I know you were. So you're using the puppets when you're on the play for Audrey too. So, what were your role in some of the movies besides the guy? Not to diminish that, but besides the guy in the suit.
Well, to tell you the truth, I was the guy in the suit. along with any other guy in the suit. I didn't really. I'm not a mechanical guy, so they would never let me around any electronics.
Okay.
I could wear the electronics, but I wouldn't know the first thing about fixing a servo motor on a jaw of a creature, or at the ear, how an ear moves or an eyebrow moves. They pay those people enough how to do that. So yeah, I'm just kind of like the guy in the suit. I show up on time and get in the suit and do what I'm told to do.
You mentioned Underworld. So when you're playing a werewolf, what do you do to prepare for the movements and how you're going to act as a monster?
In the first Underworld movie, I worked with a good friend of mine named Brian Steele. You probably know who that is.
Yeah, I'm a friend of Brian Steele. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Brian's a great guy. And we kind of determined, like, okay, this is how the things move. And also the director had a fairly concise idea of how he wanted the werewolves to move. So within that framework, we kind of came up. I maybe took a little bit of Brian's lead, but like these are how the creatures move, the werewolves move. This is how they walk. This is how, this will look good on camera if we do this kind of move. Then also you're coordinating everything with your puppeteer, because we don't open the jaw, we don't, move the ears, we don't, do the eyes. So there's a lot of communication between the puppeteer and the performer inside, making sure you get the best performance possible. But for me also, there's a rule that generally works pretty well when you're in a creature suit is whatever you do, just make sure it looks cool. So
I think that's a good rule. Yeah. A good rule for anything.
For life, really. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's my rule for the show here.
Okay.
I'm failing.
It's not, no.
Do you have another question, Trista?
I sure do, yes. So we recently had Marty Matulis on, who was also a Sleestack in Land of the Lost.
Yes.
And his experience that it was super sweaty, but very fun.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
100%. Yes, I worked with Marty on that film, and it was a big production. We worked a long time on that. I remember, like, we would start on a Monday at about 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd get suited up about 8 o'clock, and then we'd be done about 10 o'clock at night. So then they'd have to give us our 12-hour turnaround. So like on Tuesday, we're there at 10 o'clock. Wednesday, we'd be there at noon. Pretty soon, by the end of the week, we were there showing up at like 4 in the afternoon and working till 4, 5 in the morning. That's my memory of it. But it was great. It was a great way to spend the beginning of a summer with a bunch of guys that were really great. And it was a lot of fun because the costumes were so wonderfully made. They were pretty comfortable. You could walk around. We had our feet were in like elevated, but it was so nice not to have to wear like leg extensions for 12 hours a day. And the eyes popped out pretty easily. Sometimes during takes, they would pop out. And the heads came off pretty easily, so you could catch a breather. Yeah, it was. We had a nice band of guys who did that, who were the main Sleestacks, and it was a lot of fun.
So not wearing like I don't want to say stilts, leg extenders. You said. What are some of the weirder things you've had to learn how to do when working on a movie?
The first thing that comes to mind is on the third Underworld movie, I had to fight a horse. Where
that wasn't a skill you already knew.
No, it was not. They were just doing takes where I was swinging at a horse, of course, not hitting the horse. And the horse and the rider of the horse had the horse rearing up and down, and they were just going to take snippets of that. And all I could think of was like, why am I fighting this horse? Like, this is crazy. I hope this horse doesn't charge me or something. But special skills I had to learn. I guess like to be a baby Godzilla, I had to learn how to walk with my head way over my feet in leg extensions with a costume of a certain weight on my back and try to make it not look like a guy in a baby Godzilla suit. Of course, that's a lot of, you don't want it to look like a guy in a suit.
Yeah, that's interesting, though. I think maybe that's something some people might not even think about. But what are some of the ways that you go about to do that so you look, more non-human?
Well, the simplest way I found is generally, and this applies to almost anything I've done. The more pain your body is in, the better it looks on camera, because the less it looks like a human. With Godzilla, with the baby Godzillas especially, the more you could arch your back, keep your shoulders, arch your shoulders and arch your back, and keep your head as far over your feet as possible. That's when you would hear, "That looks great, keep it up." But inside you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard to do." And even in Little Shop of Horrors, doing the play, when I would do that, when you would really extend yourself, the plant on stage to get into the face of an actor, that's really great looking when you're not in the audience member. But it's really hard to do, and to maintain that and keep that, keep feathering the lips so that the lip sync is matching the voice of the plant, and to keep the intention there. So I guess my Reader's Digest answer is, whatever's the most painful is usually what they say. Perfect, just keep it up. Yeah.
Along those lines, have you had any injuries?
No, I've been very fortunate. I'm also very averse to getting hurt. So I've turned down things that they wanted me to do something that I wasn't comfortable with. Like just a couple days ago, I got called about a job. They wanted me to be some kind of animal, and I was going to be a replacement for someone. And so the first question out of my mouth is, what do they want me to do? I mean, are they looking for me to fall 2 stories into a pad? Because if that's the case, I'm not doing it. I don't know anything about doing high falls. I don't want to get hurt, and I don't want to get on set and then suddenly find out oh, you're going to be set on fire. Didn't anybody tell you?
Oh.
So I've never been hurt. Fortunately, I pulled muscles and had cramps and things like that, but I've never broken a leg. I've never busted up my knee or anything like that. I've been on set when people have, and it's not fun. It's not fun.
You mentioned Brian Steele and Marty, who we had on last week. Is there any competitiveness with people who do similar roles?
I would say yes, sure there is. I get if I see people are doing something like, oh geez, I wish I could have done that. But maybe I've done something that they wish they got to do. But I know for my part, I see other people and gosh darn it, I wish I could have got in on that. But that happens. Hopefully there's enough work for all of us that we can get a piece of the pie or something. But yeah, I would think there's maybe a little competitiveness, but also there's all different body types. I'm a different body type than Marty. We're kind of the same looking person, body type wise, but I'm a heavier guy than Marty is. I'm a heavier guy than Doug Jones is. Brian Steele and I, we're about the same size, although he's a little taller than I am. So yeah.
AJ Xylo, he says you'd make a great Max Headroom if they ever re-envisioned the show.
Right. Yes. I've heard that before. Thank you. Right. Great minds think alike.
Yes. Zoom caller here, Sylvia. She just hung up. Sorry. She was intimidated, I guess.
Right.
Trista, do you have another question?
Do you find that it can be liberating as an actor to work as a creature rather than with your naked face?
Yes, absolutely. When you're all especially when you're all locked up in a costume. Like, say, for example, on Land of the Lost, they maybe had 20 slee stacks there, and you're all identical. You know, you're all about the same height. You all have the exact same costume on. Uh, and so no one can see your persona. You see your face, and it is liberating. I have a friend who used to be a professional wrestler, and he said that he also taught people who wanted to get into wrestling. And he said, what happens a lot is you teach them the different moves and you watch them in the ring and you can see on their face, they're thinking like, here's the next thing I got to do. So he says, you put a wrestling mask on them and he says, all that goes away. They get into their body, they get out of their head, and because they don't think about being seen anymore as a person with this mask on. And he says that really helps to liberate the body, putting a mask on. So yes, as cliche and as maybe as silly as it sounds, having a mask on is very freeing. Yes, I find it is.
Have you ever put on like the whole makeup and then like see yourself and like it really changes how, you know, you thought of the role?
Yeah, I had several years ago, for a makeup book, a makeup artist named Kevin Haney, who's an Academy Award winner, did my makeup as Boris Karloff, an elderly Boris Karloff. And it was very good job. And when he was putting the makeup on me, he was almost done. And I looked in the mirror, and for a split second, I really did think I was Boris Karloff. Like, I'd gone away because the makeup was so good. So that's just an example of when the makeup's really great, how you can kind of get, I don't want to get too weird about it, but you can get a little lost in that, like, I'm not really here anymore. I'm this, because other people treat you the way they see you a lot of times. And I know I've been to makeup trade shows where I've had my makeup done, and I kind of forget that I have makeup on, but I walk up to a friend and say, hey, Mark, how you doing? He's like, who are you? I don't know who you are. It's Kurt. Oh, okay. Yeah, Kurt. Because, you know, I've got, 2 inches of latex on.
That's pretty wild. If you had to pick just like a couple makeups or creatures or what, you could be Boris Karloff, not necessarily a creature, but to showcase what you've done, what would you pick?
I did this short film, maybe you've heard of it, called Batman Dead End.
Mm-hmm.
And I played the Predator that fought Batman in that. And that was a lot of fun. One thing that made it fun was just this kind of underground film we were making. And I thought it was going to be okay. And when I saw the finished product, it far exceeded my expectations. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. And that's something I really enjoyed doing. I also enjoyed, I've done some films where I've got to be like a killer and like chasing people around an old movie theater and stuff. And that was fun because I didn't have to wear a bunch of makeup, and I didn't take 20 minutes to get dressed wearing a latex monster suit the whole time. So that was great.
Now I see you have the deep ones coming out, and a couple questions about that is one, what do you make of kind of the rise of Lovecraft movies? Seems like the last few years has been a lot, and the TV show. Right.
I don't know a lot about Lovecraft compared to what I know about Star Trek, for example. But I see on the internet that there are more Lovecraftian things or Lovecraft stuff being done. The deep ones, we shot that, actually, it was almost like a year ago today. I was in the Pacific Ocean, coming out of the Pacific Ocean in a creature suit. The water was very cold. I don't know when I hope that movie's going to come out soon. I don't know if it's going to be well, who knows with COVID, theatrical releases, who knows, may just be a streaming thing. But just to be honest with you, I don't know enough about Lovecraft to speak about it with any authority. So
Yeah.
other than
I don't either. I think Troy's probably the Lovecraft fan here. So.
Okay.
But it's just interesting to me that there's been so much in the last few years from Lovecraft.
Right.
But Jim Ojala says it's coming out soon.
Okay.
And he also want to know if you could talk about. Oh, by the way, people don't know Jim Ojala did. I guess he worked on the effects in the movie or the makeup.
Yeah.
And he said you had to do a scene at night in full creature suit,
yes,
coming out of the ocean. And how was the visibility?
It was challenging because first of all, Jim made a great suit. It looked great, and I hope I'm not going to give anything away, but the eyes of the creature were lit up, and so but that light also hit me in my eyes. So I was like having flashlight shined in your eyes, and like, okay, go walk 10 feet over there to make a right turn. Like, okay. So, you're counting steps, and you're trusting that, you're not going to walk into a wall or something like a beach wall or something. It was a little challenging to see when the when the eyes were turned on, but I did have I had a sliver of space where I could look between the suit and the eye, where I could actually see what was happening in front of me. So that happens all the time. You've got to be able to kind of memorize your surroundings and then make it look like, oh yeah, I can see everything I need to see, all that stuff.
What has been the most difficult makeup you had to wear?
That's a good question. I did a movie, I think it was called Flight 7500 or 7500. And we were playing creatures that came out of the overhead bins and attacked people, I guess, or scared people. And the makeup I had on covered both eyes. And so I had the smallest vision to be able to see where I was walking. So whenever I had to go to set or come back from set, I had to have someone hold my hand and put me in position and like, okay, Kurt, you're going to stand right here. Don't move. You're on your mark. And then reverse that just to get back to my chair. That was probably the most challenging makeup I've had to wear. But when you are in a situation like that and you have on like a creature suit and leg extensions, then the difficulty factor goes way up, because like it's hard when you can't see where you're walking and you're not in your own feet. It's a challenge.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget to, when you mentioned wrestling, are you a wrestling fan at all?
I appreciate wrestling, especially after meeting and getting to know my friend who was a wrestler. I don't follow wrestling. I mean, back in the, I guess it was 80s when there was Roddy Piper and the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, Roddy Piper. Yeah.
Like those people I know of, but I've heard of The Undertaker and John Cena, but I can't tell you the last time I sat down and watched a match or anything. But I totally appreciate what they do. I think it's great, very theatrical, and a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Trista, do you have another question?
Besides maintaining pain on set, do you have any advice for someone who might want to have a similar career as yours?
Yeah, I would say if you want to do it, go to where they make these kind of movies. Come here to Los Angeles. If you're in Canada, go to Vancouver or Toronto. Or if you're here in the United States, you don't want to go to Los Angeles. I guess they're doing a lot of films down in Georgia and Louisiana. One thing that helps is, of course, like in a lot of businesses, it's who you know and relationships. I know that I have relationships with people, and it's easy. If people know you, it's easier for them to say, "Hey, why don't we just get Brian? Why don't we just get Marty? Why don't we just get Kurt? Like, oh yeah, that's great. We'll just, we've worked with him before. No problem. So for someone who wants to do it, I would say come here and try to get into a shop, and maybe even try to start working in a shop, because it's not unusual for the people who make the costumes to actually get to puppeteer the costumes and maybe even get to perform in the costumes. So that's the first thing that would come to my mind, short of learning how to make your own. If you're in some small town in Ohio, make your own costume and make your own film. And then maybe someone will notice you and want you to do something bigger. But I mean, I just completely fell into this job in a way. So I didn't set out to do it, but it just kind of came my way.
Steven in the chat, he says, he wants to know, what were your thoughts on work with M. Night Shyamalan on Lady in the Water?
That was a very interesting shoot. I worked a couple of shots very close, where I was physically close with M. Night, and I didn't have a lot of interaction with him, one-to-one interaction, but he seemed like a really fun guy. He was telling jokes all the time, and just had a really great energy, and it was a very fun shoot to do. We got to go up to Industrial Light and Magic up in San Francisco, and he was directing us from his house in Philadelphia while we were shooting stuff there. So I really enjoyed my time working with him. Of course, M. Night doesn't know who the heck I am, but I had a great time being around him and working on his film.
When you watch a movie you've been in, can you watch it as the movie, or do you see it like thinking of the, making the movie and the technical side?
Yeah, I think about the making of the movie and the technical side. I'm like, oh yeah, this was a Friday. Yeah, I remember this.
Right.
Yeah, this was the last thing we did that day. I'm always, well, you guys, have you, you probably had that same experience too, I'm assuming.
So yeah, Trista's been in several movies, so I don't know if I've ever asked Trista that. How watch her own movies.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe the opposite of you. I don't think I think most things are a blur for me. I don't remember. Not that I haven't had trauma. I've had trauma. But I do mostly horror, so I think I'm able to watch it as a solid piece. Okay. But I have a lot of friends who watch it similarly to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And I hope I'm not giving everyone the impression I'm on set being in pain and being tortured. I'm not. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
You get a cat appearance here. So what kind of movies do you watch currently?
Well, I'd be watching the new James Bond film right now if it was out. Mm-hmm. I like James Bond movies. I like comedies. I don't like musicals so much, even though I was in Little Shop of Horrors. Although I do like the movie Little Shop of Horrors. I see a lot of films. Like my favorite film is All That Jazz it came back out in like 1979. And then I also like a French film called The Untouchables, which came out about, 8-9 years ago. So I'm kind of all over the map. Stanley Kubrick, I like. That's a better way. I like Spielberg movies. I like movies by Kubrick. Yeah, I'm all over the map.
You have a favorite Kubrick movie?
2001 is really good. I really like 2001.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Yeah.
That's one of the best movies to watch in the theater too.
Yes, I've seen it once in the theater in college, and that was great.
Yeah, I think it was last year I got to see it. No, it was couple years ago. Last year, didn't get to see really anything. But what was cool was that when I went to see it, it was 35 millimeter, and the guy sitting next to me had seen it in the same theater in its premiere like 40 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I had a night. I got to meet the guy who played, who was the head ape, the head Cro-Magnon man or whatever in the movie, and I was great getting to ask him questions about it, and that was really cool.
Are you a horror movie fan? A lot of people are asking here in the chat.
I do like horror movies. My girlfriend and I have been enjoying watching Svengoolie on Saturday nights. Just like, I don't know, a month ago, 3 weeks ago, they showed The Leech Woman, which
Love that one.
when I was a child, that movie scared the you-know-what out of me. I just terrified me, and I haven't seen it since. And when it was on, I told my girlfriend, we're watching it. Like, I don't care, we're watching it. And it was not as scary as it was when I was 8, but I still really enjoyed it. It was wonderful. So yeah, I like horror movies. But if you look in my my closet, I have Star Trek stuff and I have James Bond stuff, but I don't have much horror stuff.
That's fine. All right. Yeah. What do you think of Daniel Craig? I know a lot of like hardcore James Bond fans are mad at me, but I personally like his movies the best in the Bond.
I agree with you. I think his movies are a lot of fun. I'll be sad to see him go, but I understand.
Yeah. Jim also Jim Ojala, he says he wants to ask about being the singing, dancing man moose and Moose Man the
Yeah. Yes. Jim recommended me for this student film we did. I think it was back in 2012 in Utah, and Jim made this wonderful moose costume, kind of like the moose that I played walked on 2 feet, so kind of like Bullwinkle in a way.
Okay.
And Jim found this way to make these antlers, to mold these antlers so that they did not weigh 1,000 pounds apiece. And we shot this for a week or so, week and a half up in Park City, Utah. And it was a lot of fun. It was a musical. I'd never done that before. I was like, how's that going to work? We shot on location, and we shot outside at 3 a.m. We shot, at noon, right at the resort, at a resort there in Park City. It was a lot of fun. Jim made a really great costume for that. And tell Jim I said hello.
Yeah, and correction, he says it was a musical.
Yes,
musical.
That is correct. Yes, thank you for correcting me. He's absolutely correct.
Jim's a good guy too.
Yeah.
Trista, you have another question?
You've actually made 2 Batman fan films, so I'm wondering if you're a Batman fan.
Yes, I am. I'm old enough to remember watching Adam West and Burt Ward on TV for real when I was a kid, and I just thought that was great. And so when I got asked to be in Batman Dead End, I was like, sure, absolutely, let's do that. I've also done a stunt show out here in Los Angeles at Magic Mountain, and it was a Batman show. So I've got to play Batman in the stunt show. But I normally played Mr. Freeze in that show.
I can see that, yeah.
I do like Batman, Trista. It's I enjoyed the last 3 the Batman movies that came out with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Yes, I do like Batman.
Those are my favorite ones too.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Batman villain?
Oh, Catwoman, of course. Yes, Catwoman. Yes.
I'm a Penguin guy, but yeah, Catwoman.
Okay.
How about a Batman villain from the old Adam West?
Catwoman, yes. Julie Newmar or Lee Meriwether from the movie, or Eartha Kitt. Yes, yeah, all those.
Can't go wrong with any of them.
Yeah.
No, they're all very good.
So really, you can't go wrong with any of the old Adam West Batman villains. They were all great.
No, not you can't go bad with Nora Clavicle or, you know, the Riddler,
Egghead.
Egghead, Exceptional. Yeah, it's they're all great. You know, the Bookworm. I remember.
Oh yeah, Roddy McDowell. That was awesome.
Yeah, the Bookworm's men wore glasses and they were going to get in a fight, and they had to take their glasses off before they got in a fight. You know, I just love that.
Are you working on anything currently?
I'm working on a project for myself, a short film, and I was thinking, I got called a couple days ago about a project that I was thinking I was going to shoot tomorrow, to tell you the truth, and they had to postpone. So hopefully that'll come back around in the future, but not currently am I working on anything right now.
The short film you're working on, you said it was your film, so did you write it, or?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm trying to shoot it as cheaply as possible, and I'm doing lots of camera testing, because I'm going to have to do a lot of forced perspective or some comping, green screen. I want to stay away from green screen if I can, but I'm trying to find the way I can do it where it has the most production value for the smallest amount of money.
You know, I don't know if you can say much about it, like what genre it is or anything, what it's about.
Oh, I won't say what it's about. Not that it's
hard to explain a short without.
Yeah, it takes place on another planet in another world, which is a good thing for me because I can make the world whatever I want it to be. So, in my perfect world, I would go out in a desert and shoot it for a week and be done with it. But I don't have the money to pay a crew like you should, and feed them and house them and water them and all that stuff. So I'm trying to do the most I can, trying to make a silk purse out of Sal's ear, to tell you the truth, and use, because sometimes, when you have limitations, your imagination has to take over and exceed those limitations. So that's what I'm gonna bank myself on.
And have you ever made a short film before?
I have never made my own short film before, but I've certainly made lots of short films for other people.
Yeah, I meant for your own, but yeah.
Okay. No,
I was just wondering, like, what your plans are to do with it after, like, if you were going to do like festivals or put it online, or maybe you don't.
I would say put it online. If I felt it was good enough, I would be happy to submit it. It's fairly short. It's probably 5 minutes or less long. But I know that when I shoot it, I'm still going to make plenty of mistakes. There's going to be a lot of things I wish I would have done differently. But having been in enough films and doing enough things, I've learned some things, even through osmosis, like, don't do that. Like, this is a good thing to do. That is not a good thing to do. So hopefully some of that experience will kick in.
And by the way, Steven in the chat, he says the animated series should get some love as well about Batman.
Yeah.
And he's a big fan of Mad Hatter and Batman.
Right.
Trista, do you have another question?
Can you talk a little bit about your merman suit in Special Unit 2?
Sure. First of all, thank you for knowing what that is.
Of course.
Yeah, that was I believe it was, they took a unitard and they covered it with silicone. And then they sculpted or painted on a kind of Creature from the Black Lagoon kind of gills and things like that on the suit. And I remember that I had to be sewn into the costume and then siliconed into the costume. So once you were in, there was no like, we'll just pop the head off, take the hands off, and you can go sit down and eat, or you can just go to the bathroom very easily. It was, you're in. So the big thing I did in that episode, besides I had to kiss these college co-eds, I remember. And also the man who played Superman for was it the WB or the CW? I'm blanking on the actor's name who played Superman for many years for the TV show. Anyway, I got to fight him in an episode, but I'm dragging the story out way too long. The fun thing I remember about doing that episode was I was in a water tank, and I had a respirator on, and it took about 5 hours to shoot that scene, and I was a little apprehensive about being in the tank, but after about 20 minutes, it was very comfortable, and so the next 5 hours just kind of flew by. It was very easy to do. The most challenging part was they had a underwater microphone in the tank so I could get direction, and it was very challenging to understand exactly what the director wanted me to do, because it sounded like boom, 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 boom. And I can't communicate. I'm just like, what do you and so a couple of times I had to come up and say, he wants you to shake your head more. Like, okay, I can do that. Okay, we go back to him. So I hope that answers your question.
Have you done a lot of stuff in the water? I'm just wondering, like, does that normally make the suit a lot heavier?
Yeah, I like for the deep ones, I read the script and I talked to Chad, the director, who was great. And he agreed with me. Because the script had me coming out of the ocean at night, and so I wanted to talk to the director. I said, like, how deep in the ocean do you want me to be? Because if the waves are crashing really hard, and if you want me to be my head completely submerged, I don't want to do that. And he said, absolutely not, Kurt. Like, I think the deepest I went was like, a little above my knees. He just needed that beauty shot of me coming out of the surf. So yeah, I've done some stuff around water, but I would say Special Unit 2 was the longest that I've been submerged underwater. But also the stunt coordinator was great. He was there 100% of the time, right by my side. If I had any trouble, he would have pulled me out immediately.
Sean Clark says you were great to work with on the black waters of Echo's Pond. Not really a question,
yes,
but bring that up.
Oh, well, thank you. Sean's a great guy. I really enjoyed working on that too.
Do you have any highlights of working on it, I guess?
I got to meet Robert Patrick, and that was cool. I remember kind of being, like, Kurt, that was another job where I can't really see anything that I'm doing, where I had to be like physically put in place. Like, here's your mark, don't move. And you're just going to be looking around. Just look around. That's all we want you to do. They'd say cut, and all I could think of, like, is that okay? Do I have to look harder? Don't make it so obvious I'm looking around. And like, okay, we're gonna do another one, and action, you just. So I remember we did some reshoots for that also, and it took a long time to get that to get into costume, because they had to do all this flocking of hair on my arms, and Patrick McGee, who made the head of the creature, the pan creature that I was, absolutely beautiful. Beautiful work he did.
I know that name. I think he made a Bigfoot movie recently.
Yes, he did. I was hoping to be in it, but I was committed to doing something else at the time.
Primal Rage, I think it's called.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yes,
it's honestly one of the best Bigfoot movies.
Yes, it's very good.
Mm-hmm. The Bigfoot looks great, and I like the take on Bigfoot. It's a lot. Yeah. It's original.
Right.
By the way, when I mentioned you were coming on the show, a lot of people like Sean and Jim and some other people, they mentioned that they love working with you, and you seem, which I know this seems obvious, I think, but if you have a good reputation, I think it helps, work on other projects.
Hopefully, yes. Well, when you're going to be working on set with someone for 14 or 16 hours, and you can work with someone who's hopefully nice and smells good, or, you can work with someone who doesn't. So I don't know, Trista, maybe you've had the experience of working with people maybe you don't want to work with again, or, so
that's how I met Trista, was we worked on a movie.
Oh.
Neal falls under that category.
But somehow I tricked her to come on the show.
Right.
But she doesn't have to smell me because we're in other parts of the country. So
Right.
That's the big
It's in my contract.
Do you have social media for people to follow you to see what you're up to? If you,
I don't really. I have a Facebook account. I open it up for about a day once every 4 months. If a family member has done something and I need to congratulate them or look at some photos, but I'm not much of a social media person.
Probably better off, to be honest. There are oftentimes, we really need one for the show and everything, but sometimes they're not just sometimes, often I think, why am I on social media?
Right. Yeah, I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
Yeah, but there are also great people too. Don't get me wrong. So I don't,
absolutely.
Our community is great and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just sometimes it's, for me, it would be easy to fall down the Facebook rabbit hole, for example, and so yes, I do have a Facebook account, but it's deactivated 99% of the time.
That's totally fine. How did you this last year? I know you're working. You want to do your short film, but during the pandemic, did you either like find a new hobby or work on anything like maybe that you didn't think you would? You had extra time.
I wrote. I did a lot of writing and a lot of exercise because there was no work. And of course, you never know when you might get called, even during a pandemic. So there was lots of exercising, and I exercised a lot. And
along those lines, what kind of things do you do to stay flexible and in shape to play the different?
I do right now. I'm doing a program for 20 weeks where, like, I'll do a week. Like this week, I'm just doing weights. Those will be my exercises, in addition to a lot of bicycling, and then the next week will be all body weight type exercises with so I can get my cardio in, as it were, on the bicycle. So that's what I'm doing for the first 20 weeks of the year. It's all different kinds of crazy push-ups and, sit-ups and handstand push-ups and chin-ups and all kinds of stuff like that.
Well, this has been really fun to talk with you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's over. Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, I had a great time. Thank you very much.
That you would like to put out there?
I think we've pretty much covered everything. Hopefully everyone is getting through this time of COVID, and everybody will get their shots or whatever they need, and we'll get back to having a more normal life. And hopefully the next time we reconvene, the COVID will be way, way in the rearview mirror.
Agreed. Yeah. This really has been a good time. It would be cool to have you back sometime.
Anytime.
Oh, yeah.
Call me. Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right. Very good. And we're going to give away a prize here. You can stay with us if you want.
I'll stay with you.
All right. So we'll give it away. I should have had it closer. But Peninsula, which is Train to Busan presents Peninsula. It's a sequel to Train to Busan by the good people of Wellgo USA. They sent this to us. It's Blu-ray and DVD. Korean zombie film. The first one was really kind of came out of nowhere as a big success. So anyway, every month I have to do help spread the head. Share Without Your Head on Facebook or Twitter. Go spray paint it on walls. Don't do that, but don't share it. And we put all the names in here in a hat. And let's see. one person. Suzanne Leist. I'm not sure how you say your name. At Suzanne Leist on Twitter. You won yourself Peninsula. Very cool.
Very nice.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Good.
So get your address. We'll send it right out. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully you don't live too far away. Because I'm cheap. No, I'm just kidding. All right, that's very good. Thank you. Subscribe here to YouTube. Hit the little bell icon so you get all the notifications. Follow us everywhere, and I think those are all the plugs.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like it.
Thank you again, Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt. Thank
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Very good.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, thank you. You too. Have a great day.
You
Bye,
too.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching.
All right. Good night, everybody.
That's the awkward part when I hang up.
All right, Neil, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.